says, a while ago you mentioned the tenses of salvation. Can you expand on this? So I think this was about 2-3 weeks ago when we briefly mentioned that in one of our Sunday morning sermons, the tenses of salvation. So basically we talked about we talked about it in this context. We've been saved, we're being saved, and we will be saved. So past tense, present tense, future tense. Now, let's flesh that out a little bit. We've been justified. That means we've been saved. That's past tense if you guys are in Christ, and I assume most of you guys are. I know most of you guys, so that means you already have been saved. Now, sanctification is a process. That's ongoing. That's the present tense. You are being saved. You're being conformed into the image of Christ as you live out this Christian faith. And then eventually, the future tense, glorification. That's you will be saved. That's future. That's when you die. So basically, put it this way. Justified is when you're freed from the penalty of sin. You're no longer paying for your own sins. Now Jesus has imputed his righteousness on your behalf. You're saved. That's justified. Then there's sanctified, where you're freed from the power of sin, right? Where you're being conformed into the image of Christ. That's ongoing. That's sanctification. And then glorification is where you're freed from the very presence of sin. And that's when we all become like Jesus, get our glorified bodies, and don't have to, as Paul describes it, deal with this body of flesh anymore, right? Who's going to free me from this body of death? We all look forward to that day. And that's what happens when we die. If we're in Christ, we become glorified. We get new bodies. We lose our sin nature, which is in Adam. So I hope that helps you guys. Think of it like this. When you're justified, you're now owned by Christ. When you're being sanctified, you're being shaped by Christ. And then when you're glorified, you're joined to Christ forever. You're there with him in a new body, which is the same body, but a glorified version of it. And that'll be really cool. I look forward to that greatly. I know most of you guys do too.